unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity. We travel around the world to talk to creative practitioners everywhere about how they get inspired and how they organize their ideas, and most of all, how they gain the confidence and connections to launch their work out into the world. And we're going to talk about the convergence of all that today with a media disruptor who's really been changing the game for content creators in film, television shows, media, and production of all kinds. My guest is Bonnie Bruderer. Bonnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. Hi, everybody.
And Bonnie is the founder and CEO of BINGE Networks. They've helped 15,000 plus films and shows get syndicated on Netflix and Amazon Prime, Tubi, and hundreds of other streaming platforms. She's got a background in media and production and really built Binge to empower filmmakers. And we're going to talk about all of that. Bonnie, it sounds so exciting to help, creators, well, not only get their work out, but monetize the work really like never before.
Yeah, it is very exciting. I came to it because I was a filmmaker and a creator, and I got into the world and got an agent and realized this is really wrong the way that this works. This does not, you don't make a lot of money. It takes years. So yeah, we're very excited to have disrupted that process and to be able to help people get where they need to go and to monetize their film and to get it seen by millions of people.
Oh, so good. Let's talk about Binge Network to start and really breaking these rules of streaming. You set out to do just that. It's not traditional content licensing everybody else was doing. How is this different, and what are you aiming for?
So it's different in that we really have broken down all the barriers. Generally, when you're a filmmaker or a producer, it can take years from the time that you have your show in the can or your film in the can to when it is actually seen on platforms like Amazon Prime, like Tubi. And we've really disrupted all of that to where we can take a project and get it on one of the major platforms, usually within 30 days. And we did that because I was a creator myself. As I said, I had a TV show in New York City. That's how our network was started about a decade ago. I'm also a filmmaker, and we were great at getting distribution back when the streaming world started. And so we decided about 3 years into this, hey, I really think that distribution is the answer. It's what people need and are looking for. So we offered distribution as a service and still do today to our content partners. And then we launched our own streaming network. And so we are able to stream on all of the major platforms. We're on Apple, Roku, iOS, online. And then we also license that content out. We've built relationships over the past 10 years with agents, with aggregators, with technology platforms, so that we can take really virtually any product and get it seen by these networks that have hundreds of millions of subscribers in some cases. It's a very fast, very efficient process, but we've done it through the old school like relationship building and knocking on doors and creating these relationships that allow us to be able to license thousands and thousands of films each month.
So good. And what kind of, when you think about the creator that you built Binge for, can you describe that content creator so we can see them when they come?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not your famous actor, big name, Martin Scorsese, sorry,
Yeah,
can't
sure.
say the name right, type of thing. Obviously, they've got their paths, they're doing what they're doing, it works great. We are for the little guy. We say we're like the in-between between a YouTube, which is unvetted, anyone can do it, and Netflix, which is very much almost impossible for people to get these $1 million deals. And so we're pretty much for everybody in between. So a person that maybe even created a YouTube show or a film and is using that vehicle, a podcaster that does video, we can get those placed as well. So it's really everybody else that maybe did something out of passion. They created a film, they created a web series, a food show, a yoga series, but they don't really know the distribution world. They don't have the contacts and they don't have the millions of dollars that it sometimes takes to get a project pushed through. So that's really who we're looking to help and who our content partners are. Just this morning, I was watching this new show that we have on racing. It's this really cool family that travels around the world, and the husband races, and the wife is a filmmaker, and they film everything. And so things like that, projects that are really a passion project, but that are produced well and have an audience. It's just they have no idea necessarily how to get to that audience.
Yes. Every great film and show has an origin story. You have your own origin story. You've referenced a couple times, filmmaker to media mogul here. But take us back to those days. You also had a career in media at NBC Internet and CitySearch. But how did your experience in media give you some of the ideas, some of the angles, some of the edge to really create Binge?
Yeah, so I did start in the internet world, as you referenced. I worked for Active Networks, I worked for CitySearch, I worked for NBC Internet in the early days. And when streaming came out, I really saw a parallel. I believe that streaming is the internet back then, the wild, wild west, huge land of opportunity. I think even a decade in, we're still in that very sweet spot where there's a ton of money to be made. The streaming world is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And people are now just realizing, hey, there's a lot of opportunity here. So after doing a number of different startups in the internet world, I took a pivot and I went to work for Tony Robbins, and I traveled the world and did that whole human potential thing. I blame him for how the network started, in that my mind was expanded, the whole vision, go after your dreams thing happened. And so I found myself in about 2012, I decided to move to New York City. I was living in California, where I grew up and am from. And I decided to continue my own brand doing coaching. I decided to start a TV show. I thought it would become a vehicle to promote the coaching. At the time, I was working on Wall Street in-house, coaching a bunch of brokers, and did the show. And then the second after we did one episode, I was like bit by the TV bug, and I forgot all about the rest of it and just decided to go full force into that. And so our show, we produced over 700 segments in the first couple of years, and we had 8 spin-off TV shows and a film that came from that. And as I said, we started to get distribution contracts. I just followed every lead. I was that type of person that was very hungry, very, I'll do anything. And so people would tell me, oh, you should go to France and go to these events where all the TV producers are. I'm like, okay, charge a ticket to France, go there. Ended up coming back with 32 distribution deals. And so over the years, we decided, you know what, I think that this is the value, as fun as it is to be on TV, to be in front of the camera. It's a lot of work, a lot of stress. And so we decided to launch our own network. Where the dream and the goal comes in is from day one of doing the TV, I kept talking about how I wanted to be the next Oprah. I wanted my own network. I never imagined it would evolve to where it is today. But I was always trained that you need a big vision. You need to enroll the people that are on your team into this big vision. So from day one, we were talking about our network, and then we eventually launched it. And here we are today, one of the largest private film catalogs, and representing thousands of different filmmakers, creators. And then actually with 2020, when COVID happened, another interesting piece came along. I had a newborn. I had a 3-day-old, and I thought I was going to be on maternity leave. But day 3, I am watching the news like the rest of the world, and I get a text in all caps from our operations director, and she's saying, Carol is Tiger King. Carol is Tiger King. And I'm like, what? And we had this sort of like eccentric, we'll call it, client that had all this wildlife footage and animal footage, and it ended up being like the impetus for Tiger King. And so immediately we were getting all these calls. I think we had 5,000 hours of content, Tiger
Amazing.
King and the like, and people wanted to license our content. And it was very fortuitous timing. Obviously, it was a very difficult time for the world, but in the world of streaming, viewing behavior went up 10x overnight and content production stopped. And so here we were sitting on this huge catalog, and people are like, do you license out? We're like, yeah, of course, like a good entrepreneur. I think
Yes.
of
Yeah.
course.
Yes, we'll figure it out
And I'm
later.
like, so I strapped on my little daughter and her little pouch, and I just kept working on Zoom. And there, our licensing department was born, and that was really the big push that brought us to where we are today. That's the sort of the larger arm of our company, is our licensing and distribution. And so started with 1 contract, and then 5 and 10, and now we've done over 10,000 titles that we've licensed out to platforms like Amazon Prime, like Tubi. Pretty much every platform that you're watching at home, we have worked with in some capacity.
It's a great story. Thanks for sharing all those insights.
Yeah.
Turning to the creators now, You mentioned they struggle to make money. You have all this content out there, but how are we monetizing it? What are we missing? What is the creator missing when they really start the work?
Yeah, so really a business mindset. That's the biggest thing. So much great content is created out of passion or created out of a great story to tell, and that's all wonderful. And you also have to look at it as who's going to see this? Because at the end of the day, and don't shoot the messenger, but at the end of the day, everything is about advertisers, about eyes on your content, about that's how it's all monetized, whether it's the old school TV, whether it's streaming. So you have to really think like, where is this going to end up? Because if you've got a great story to tell, there's going to be an audience, but you have to know how to reach that audience. And so that's where we find a lot of times people fall short. They either don't have a plan, they have an unrealistic plan. I had a call with a creator the other day that made a film that's okay. And they wanted to make $13 million on a contract. I'm like, I'm just going to tell you, we can't do that for you.
Might be a little less than that.
Yeah, it's just not realistic, and we can do all these other things, and tens of thousands of dollars could be realistic for you, but really just understanding where you want it to go. That's the first thing is even from doing a podcast, it's all about downloads, it's all about sponsors. Everything has a formula as distribution is the same. And so figuring out like where you want it to go, that's a really big piece of it. And then who can get you there? You need to open doors. It is very rare that someone gets $1 million check from a Netflix or some other place. And so figuring out how does this industry work? Where can I position myself as an expert, as a leader? And we have projects that do come on and they make tens of thousands of dollars and sometimes per month. And then we have others that use it for different means. Like maybe you're a coach or a consultant and getting eyeballs on your content is going to bring you new revenue streams. Or maybe you want to produce another series. Maybe season 1 of your project was an advertising experiment, and then we got distribution for you so you can go back to investors and say, hey, I'm already guaranteed to be airing on Amazon Prime. Can you invest in season 2? We've had that happen as well. So yeah, just really being clear on where you want to take it, not just, hey, I've got a great story to tell. I'm going to turn on the mic and start telling it. You have to have an end game.
Yes, good advice. You mentioned a couple of these examples. I'd love to drill down on some of these, I'll say smart, sometimes surprising ways that creators are monetizing. What are some of the ways that we can think about these deals and structuring the money?
Great question. First of all, streaming. If you're not doing streaming networks, you need to be. And here's why. They have literally hundreds of millions of people that subscribe to their platform. So like Tubi, for example, I think they're at close to 80 million subscribers. Last count that I saw, maybe it was like 79 or something like that. So these are audiences that you're not already tapped into. We're all in this space. So we know if you're listening to a podcast, you're also probably following the person on Facebook and YouTube, etc. But the thing that's different about streaming is they're all different audiences. So Tubi has cultivated its own brand, its own hundreds of millions of people watching it at all times. Pluto, another one, they have a totally different audience, as well as Amazon Prime. And so they're opening up new doors for people to gain these viewers and gain these new monetization streams that they're probably not already thinking about if they're not on streaming. The second thing is we really take a holistic approach with our agency, aside from being on our platform. Now, our platform is the only one that I know of where we actually pay back a percentage of each subscription to our creators. That's like creator, a little bit ownership from the creators, and that we're paying back every subscription that comes in. On top of that, when we license out the content, we're doing everything. We're not just doing streaming. That's great. We're going to work with every streamer out there. We also do cable placements. We do DVD production. There's still a big market for like in the educational space. We just did a big deal yesterday with all of our veteran focused documentaries because there's a market for that in the college educational space. We also did a DVD deal last month for a show called Passport Poppy, which is a really cool, it's a single mom. She travels around with her, I think now 4-year-old little girl, and does this sort of puppet Sesame Street-esque, but educating people on travel. Here's what the Australian flag looks like, and here's what you can do in Australia, and here's a koala. So we did a great deal for them in the educational space. So there's a lot of opportunities out there to repurpose what you've created outside of the venues you're probably already tackling.
Very smart. Very good. And let's dig into this a little bit with syndication. I love that you have a phrase on your website, syndicate, scale, and succeed. But it's all about eyeballs and distribution. But how literally Do you get 15,000 shows on 100 platforms? That's a lot of syndication.
Yeah, one by one. We literally have a hamster wheel of a team going at all times. We do everything, as I said, for 10 years, I've been going to all of the content markets, which is where you meet with all the buyers. We have a strategy in that we're responding to requests for content every single day. Literally, before pulling up this call, I just saw an order come in for 15 of our titles. That's one thing today. We also did the veterans one yesterday. We work with all the aggregators out there, and we work with pretty much every company that we have found that does these deals. So we have an outbound approach. We have some that we have deals with, like, for example, our aggregator or our agency, I guess if you want to call it, that feeds Tubi. We do 20 titles a month just consistently through that one arm. Then we know, okay, we have another aggregator that can do unlimited titles on this platform. So we look at everything that comes in when you become a client of Binge, and we figure out, okay, we know we can get these 10 points right away for this person. And then as we're developing these relationships, new things, they're also out there and connecting with new networks and new opportunities and basically coming back because they know we have this treasure trove of content. And so they'll say, hey, we need all of your current events. Great. We've got a Gaza documentary that we just titled. Or they'll say, we need all of your animal focused content. Great. We have one person's sole job, our director of licensing, that literally knows the catalog inside and out and can parcel it out. We have a built database in Dropbox. We have a spreadsheet, and she can literally parcel out for you in 15 minutes. Here's 100 titles that fit what you're looking for. We created that because we saw a real hole in the market. These deals sometimes take months, and then people are, oh, then you got to go back to the creator. We don't work with anyone until we have all of your content onboarded. And then we know we can just deliver it within 24 hours, do the deals on your behalf. So we really cut out that time that usually happens. Oh, mail us a hard drive because the Wi-Fi didn't allow me to upload the film. And we're like, nope. And we learned all of that through pain. As I said, I started in the
Right. It sounds like that example is real.
Yeah. 100 times over. I used to have to take a taxi to the television station to get all of the episodes off my hard drive every Friday by 3. And if you run into Manhattan traffic, you're screwed. And we really saw all of the holes in the market. We built our own technology where all of our clients have a dashboard that they can log into. They can see all the deals at any time. They sign the deal memos that come in daily. And that's cutting edge too. There's only a couple of other companies out there that are automated in that way. But we really listened. Over 10 years, we figure out, what do people really want? Where are the problems? And then we built this amazing database, and the people always still ask for a spreadsheet. We're like, but you can literally watch all the films. They're all there. And they're like, I just want a spreadsheet. We're like, okay, here's your Excel. So you work where people are, but you have our finger on the pulse of, as I said, each part of the industry and where we can monetize deals. And it's fun. We absolutely love. Like, I'm constantly obsessively checking the pickup report because I'm like, oh my God, that film got picked up. Or Passport Poppy, that was a huge win for me because I have a 4-year-old daughter, which just turned 5 last week. But I think that's so cool. And like, here's this single mom just like making this amazing content, doing it different. She's doing something totally against the grain. And so we were so excited to get that deal for her. And yeah, so we love content. That's what we do.
Great stories, great examples. So my guest is Bonnie Bruderer of BINGE Networks. We've been talking about distribution. We've been talking about content, building an audience for our content, and monetizing. And Bonnie, I want to be sure that people know where to connect with you and find your work before I think about the future. I have a couple more questions, but where are we now? Where can I find you?
If you're listening and you are a creator and you want to talk to someone on our team, we offer a free consultation. You can go to bingedistribution.com and just request a free consultation, no obligation. If you're curious about our content, you can also get a free trial, a 7-day free trial if you go to trybinge.tv. You can just do the 7-day free trial and you can watch thousands of films, and you can binge from now until the 7 days, all day, all night, and you won't see it.
Couldn't be a better name. It's
Thank
like
you.
you were Binge before Binge was a thing.
Yeah, I did. I got the trademark. I'm like, wow, that was available. Funny story. Was it T-Mobile had it, and then they canceled one of their programs and it lapsed. I was watching it and I'm like, perfect.
I'll take it. That's great. We've been talking about the story and how we got to where we are, but now I want to turn the page to the future. There's no question that content, media, AI, influencers, YouTube, everything is changing.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future? And I can only imagine in the boardroom, as you guys think about where it's going? I'd love to say 3 to 5 years, but you may be 3 to 5 months in your outlooks. But how is the game changing and what are you doing to stay current?
So I believe in all the research and data that I've seen, I think there will be a lot more consolidation. I think we saw this blow up of like fast channels and networks and Netflix and everyone having 10 subscriptions. And we're starting to see some acquisitions and bigger traditional cable companies coming in buying streaming networks. I think there'll be some more of that, like Paramount. Everyone is buying everyone. HBO Max, like it's all conjoining. I also think subscription, and this is totally against the grain. Everyone's no, it's all AVOD, which just means free to watch with ads, which drives me personally nuts. We decided to go back to subscription last year just because of the trends and things that I saw in the industry, and we've generally been right on these things. And we're taking a very different approach. We're taking a very grassroots approach to grow our subscriber base because of that mission of paying back a percentage to each filmmaker. In a year or two, we want to be able to write you a huge check when you bring us a show or a film just from that alone. And so that's why we went back to subscription. But we also do really cool things like live concerts, film. We do interviews with filmmakers, things like that, that you can purchase tickets on and then become a subscriber to our network in order to accomplish that. And that came from my background and my human potential background and so forth. So I think you'll see some more of that, a little bit of blending like the whole traditional with a little bit of live streaming and really just open to all opportunities. I think what people finally realized, I've been saying this since day one, I was like, wait, isn't streaming just like cable, but you're just getting it different? And I think people are starting to finally catch on to that, that you're still paying a bill, and in a lot of cases more than you were paying for cable because it's all discombobulated a little over here. You're watching here on Tuesday, here on Thursday, and you're paying for it. So I think we'll start to see some trends even back to like we've started now licensing on traditional cable because there is a little bit of that going on again. So yeah, I think those are the trends that you're going to see in the industry. But I also think that you're going to start to see more people that are using the more social medias and so forth hop on over to streaming because they'll start to see what a tremendous opportunity is there.
Fantastic. It's an exciting time for sure.
Yeah.
So as you think about the creators now that are listening to the show here, what advice, if you say, look, you should be creating for where we are today, but certainly thinking about the future and creating not just for the art, but for the business side of it. What insights do you have for our creators that are listening?
Yeah. Create great content. That's my biggest advice. I think a lot of times people try to come to us and they're like, what's going on in the industry? What do they need? And I'm always hesitant to tell people right now it's current events, it's true crime, but things that were like blackballed a year ago, children's programming, no, that's over, all of a sudden have a resurgence. And so I've seen this happen in my 10 years in the business. And I really think the better message is create great content. Do it in a way that you're high production value, great audio, great lighting, tell a great story. That's really what it's all about. Whether you're making a documentary, you're making a food show, a yoga show, like if you're coming from passion and you're doing what you love, you're going to find that audience and the industry is going to trend on what's popular and what's not. So really just being strategic about where it's going to get distributed and have that business mindset, but create what you love, create great content.
And don't you find the audience feels that passion?
Yes.
It just comes through.
Of course, some of our like craziest things, like they come to me and it's not my cup of tea. It's not something I would be interested in. And then it does wildly successful on these networks. I'm like, I didn't see that coming, but it's because it's done from the heart of that person. And then that audience resonates with it.
So good. Content from the heart. It's a good takeaway on this interview. Bonnie, thanks so much. BINGE Networks, it sounds like a great model. It sounds like it's helping a lot of creators, and I look forward to seeing where it goes from here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, everyone.
Stay in touch with us and let us know how it's going.
We would love that. Have a great day.
And listeners, keep coming back. We're going to continue with these around the world journeys, talking to creatives all over the world about inspiration and organization, but also confidence and connection to get the work out into the world. And as we've heard from Bonnie today, really exude that passion in the work and create what you love and love what you create. Before we go, I also want to thank our sponsor, White Cloud Coffee Roasters. Of course, we've talked about monetization. We can't produce a podcast without a sponsor, and we really thank White Cloud Coffee for coming on board with us. And listeners, you can enjoy a 10% discount on your order when you use the word creativity at checkout. So just visit whitecloudcoffee.com. And of course, if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review Your World of Creativity on your favorite podcast app. So look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity.